Any questions, by the way? Sorry, I didn't ask. Anybody has any questions?
So I know that at some point in time, I've probably met each and every one of you, even if it was just in passing or in conversation. But just to make sure that I'm not missing out on anybody, does anyone here have a kayak and they just are using it for, floating down a river? Does anyone here not kayak fish? Does anyone here have a kayak and not fish? Nobody. So everybody here has a kayak because in some part of their day, they enjoy fishing. Okay. So everything that Armando was saying kind of ties into something that was mentioned to me earlier, which is, okay, so I'm building out the kayak. Whether you're a DIY person and you like to do it all yourself, or you bring it here to Mariner and you're just letting them know, hey, I want this, that, and the other thing installed. At some point in time, you get to a kayak that looks like that. And you're wondering how now with all these distractions, you're going to be able to effectively go out and do the thing that we all hope happens, which is get onto some fish. And my big focus and the way that I go about my fishing trips this year is to really granulate exactly what you're doing and where you're going. You guys saw my Autopilot 120 last year at Caddo with way too much stuff on it. By the way, that day my friend caught his PB right outside the ramp. I ended up locking a frog in my hand, fishing that all day. And I totally missed the value of what that day was, which is simplify what you're doing for where you are, like what it is that you want to do. And so there's such a stark contrast between the way that I go about fishing and what you see there. Again, just to drive this point home, what you see there is so that people will stop, so that people will look, so that people will be intrigued, so that people will ask questions. There's a lot of people, even as fast as kayak fishing is growing right now, remember that it's a niche of a niche of a niche. Like it's such a subset of how people like to enjoy their time, how people like to enjoy their discretionary income. So in this configuration, the purpose is to draw attention. However, when I go fishing this year, I've really thought about, okay, where am I going? What am I doing? Example, yesterday, was out on a local lake. A friend of mine who's been begging me to go fish with him for a long time. And I asked him a question. I said, at the end of the day, what is your perfect day? And he's like, man, if I had some crappie and some catfish. I'm like, okay, great. So the only things that were on my kayak yesterday, I had like 4 rods with me. I had a bow-mounted motor for spot lock, and I had a Garmin for live scope. I had 2 rods to scope and 2 rods for what I enjoy doing, which is literally just putting it on heading lock and, flipping bushes with a spinnerbait, just kind of power fishing. We went out and did that. It took me less than 10 minutes to get ready. When I was out on the water, should something bad happen, I've got nothing in my way from re-entering the kayak. Also, to try to stay on focus, but a little bit of a tangent, this summer, I'll be working with Mariner Sales and their tri-days, and you will see that thing upside down. You'll see how to flip it back over. You'll see how to reboard. There's numerous ways to be able to do all that stuff. I've been fortunate enough to have not expired from a lot of those situations in my past, and so I feel like it's kind of my responsibility to be able to share a lot of that. But that'll be this summer. So for anybody watching on live stream or future videos, if you're not already, make sure that you like and follow the Mariner Sales Facebook page, Instagram page, get on their website, their YouTube channel, all that stuff, because at some point in time this summer, that thing will be upside down and it will have gear on it. It won't be the, made for social media, hey, look how easy we could roll this kayak over with absolutely nothing on it. Like, there's going to have stuff on it. And so back to, focusing on what type of fishing you're going to do. Example, we have Caddo coming up. You're not going to see much of anything on this kayak with the exception of a motor on the back and the power pole. For me personally, I do like to be able to slow down and pick apart an area, and if the conditions are present such that there's a little bit of wind, a breeze, or I'm not up shallow enough to tie onto something and stay still, that micro anchor has been something that I have thoroughly enjoyed. I love using that thing. But to that point, focusing on, where am I going, what type of fishing I'm going to be doing, and then just doing that, it makes packing a lot easier. It makes loading and unloading a lot easier. And then it allows you to try to maximize, like Armando was saying earlier, the actual thing that you're trying to do, which is catch fish, right? So for me, those electronics, the 3-horse motor on the back facilitates getting around the lake more quickly. The micro anchor keeps me on a spot if I'm, working an edge or something like that. There's a reason for each thing, but then also that means that there's a lot of things that don't need to be on there. Cameron touched on, where do you have your throttle? Why do you have your throttle? It's really hard for me to give advice on that because I don't fish the same as you, right? Like we all have those subtle differences and for whatever the reason. I would just consider getting out on the water and making sure that you can make those adjustments. So like Wes, I know your kayak is outfitted with a bunch of cool stuff. I love rigging. Like I'm a tinkerer, so I like doing that stuff. You mentioned earlier, like, well, I'm kind of at that point where, I'm not sure if I keep going or if I have too much, I don't have enough, I don't have the right thing, or it's in the wrong place, all that different stuff. My best advice for anybody who's curious about what to put on their kayak and where would literally be to go out with nothing, fish, and make mental notes or keep them in your phone, write whatever you need to do, but make note of things that you notice while you're on the water, such as, at this point in time, it would be nice if I was able to stop here. Or at this point in time, it would be nice if I was able to quickly switch lures or rods, things like that. And why? That is for me, the quickest way to learn what I should and shouldn't be doing in terms of a setup on the water. And overall, right, it gets back to that point of what are we out there to do? Some of us, we like sightseeing, and if we catch a fish that's icing on the K, it's one way to go about it. If you're out there for a tournament and, the objective is your 5 biggest fish, then, we make different decisions for that. So, I'd love it if somebody had a question in regards to like their own personal setup. If you're uncertain about maybe rigging, whether you do it here or at home. Cam, yeah. Yeah.
You don't have questions. You want to take the limelight out of you. I'm playing. I'm playing.
I gotta be the one.